here. Back for another one. Back for another one here. Back for another one here. And on that, and this time I'm hoping to break my silence on something that does not define me, or does it define? Okay, I am here and I'm ready to break my silence, or the silence, I should say, in on something that does not define me or anyone else. Down syndrome. And and I'm getting carried away, and not to be carried away from how big does this webcam think my head is? Okay, all right. So, right out of the horse's mouth, right out of the rooster's beak. So right out of the horse's mouth and out of the rooster's beak here. Um, right out of the horse's mouth here. Right out of the rooster's beak. I'm going to break the silence of something that does not define me or anyone else. Mr. Down syndrome. And I don't know, and I don't know, and I don't know, and I do know, and it's not to, and read up the beat, and right off the bat, I am not trying to do a Bing Crosby and preach anything here. I'm nearly breaking the silence that most people have a struggle to communicate with. Having to live with Down syndrome and trying to tell the difference between a deformity and an actual blessing. Like struggling with a deformity that can a lot of times throw someone off guard, but can also put them back into gear. And it's time I talked about it, like in the full thing of it. Like, you know. And by the way, here's the Brainsville channel. If anyone new doesn't know what the heck this thing is, I'm going live at ridiculously late o'clock, but that's all right. My Barney Rubble. I don't really know how to. I'm also trying to figure out what Down syndrome is too, but I know that most people weren't actually born. Down syndrome is something I learned really early in life, was that Down syndrome is a very complex matter that shouldn't have been complex, but it was, and still is. And it's all defined, and it's all why do I keep biting my tongue here? Um, mm, I mm. It's a little thing called definement, and we're always being defined of our Down syndrome snail shell. If you if you if no yeah and and we always seem to get verbally beat up about it, you know, verbally beat up about it. Like it's right, it's right, it's right, it's wrong. Like it's like like there was a time there was a time when well, I mean, we're always speaking up, but that's not really the down or upside of Down syndrome. The the idea is that we're kind of lost at somewhere between, you know, the cover up. We always seem to be lost for some reason between Down syndrome and who we really are, and very less and and a very rare or small sum has not really been able to explain it. I don't know, and with any and it's just a like it's just a lack of knowledge that other people don't have, and that's why we're getting the shorter end of the stick, and they're getting the longer end of the stick. You know, like I do know, like I don't even know where half of that stuff comes from. You know, oh he's and she is this, you know, and he and she is that, and oh, you look at that person in the wheelchair there. We can't be friends with that person because they're in a wheelchair. What? How about just put a stick in there? How about just how about like wow, that ever a wrong thing to do? I'd be I'd be most proud to make friends with somebody in a wheelchair. It's just whether or not they want to be friends with me on their side of things might be different. You know, they might not want to be friends with me. Not because you're shy, not because of nationality, not because of nationality, but because they're shyer, but because they are shy and don't really want to come out of their Down syndrome snail shell. You know, like I'm shy. Like I'm not shy. I can make friends with basically anybody. You know, I I can make friends as easily as anyone else. It's just that it's harder for me, which is the story, which is the story and the heartbreak of Down syndrome, which everything is harder, but it doesn't define me though. It does define, but it doesn't define me. It doesn't define the way I live. It just slows me down and makes and forces me to rebehave. And there's and that's why people would put who don't have Down syndrome me or anyone else down because they think they're smarter and they think we're because they think they're the smart ones by putting us down, and we somehow get such a short end of the stick that it's not even remotely a stick anymore. You know, like like, like personally, I don't know where these people come from, but they're but they're here. You know, they're here. They're giving people like me a hard time, not because of nationality, because to them we are the we because to them we are the stupid ones. and we are, and and we're not the stupid ones. Actually, neither one is stupid. It's the fact that they don't want to be friends and they don't want anything to do with us. They're not looking at the same person as them because they're too busy looking at the syndrome or the wheelchair, you know, or or the cast on the leg, like like it hurt, like it hurt. It basically hurts to be like it really hurts when someone doesn't understand who you are or what you represent. And it'd be great. And it'd be great if that was all that was. And it'd be great if that was all that was. And it'd be great if that was the end of the story, but it's not. And you know, like I mean, just because one person doesn't have Down syndrome is a track and field, you know, is a track and field runner, does mean it doesn't mean we can't be the same. Doesn't mean that we can't be track and field runners ourselves. It's easy. It's just easier for that person that doesn't have Down syndrome, and it's harder for us. Like everything is easy for us. Like everything is harder for us, and I do care, and I do care, I do, and I don't care if it's guitar playing, if it's guitaring, if it's guitar, you know, learning to play guitar, learning how to use the computer. They People are overdoing it with keyboards that match the person's fingers. This is a basic keyboard. Voices keyboards that have like, and I could swear the keyboard of the computer has more Down syndrome than the person that is using it does. You know, I mean, can you tell me what's up? Like, I mean, what is up with that? The keyboard from the keyboard of the computer has more Down syndrome than the person does. Like, wow. Who like how thought, like, I mean, who thought that was a good idea to make that keyboard have more Down syndrome than the person that has Down syndrome does? Like, who thought that was a good idea to make a Down syndrome keyboard of a computer? Like, I mean, what, like, who thought that was a good idea? You know, like, we got Down syndrome keyboards for computers. We got Down syndrome guitars. We got Down syndrome hula hoops. I mean, let it end already. You know, you're breaking us down with every item in the store, and you're putting more of an emphasis of Down syndrome onto store-bought items than you are putting it. Like you're putting more emphasis. Like you're putting way more emphasis on store-bought items and making them look like they and making and putting like you're putting way more of an emphasis on store-bought items, and you're putting and you're advertising the slogan Down syndrome guitars, up syndrome, Down syndrome pianos, Down syndrome bag of pencils. Like who thought that was a good idea? You would put Down syndrome on everything but the bathroom toilet, and maybe even the bathroom toilet. You know, like I mean, that's got to be, like I mean, that has got to be nasty. Like, like, like I mean, that has got to be nasty. Like I mean, that has got to be nasty. You know, like straight, straight, straight up like segregation to everybody who has Down syndrome. What? Like nobody has the right mind to say that we're yes, buddy, yes. Like nobody in the right mind would do that because we have the right to play guitar. We have the right to be in public. We have the right to be just like everyone else. But it's harder for us, and nobody gets that. Nobody gets that, and nobody wants to get that either. In 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 unless they were hit with a baseball bat, that you know we are not wired like that. We are. We're not. And I'm done my saint, and I'm done my sick of it, and I'm done my sick about that. That you would that you would put Down syndrome on store bought items instead of you know like I mean the next thing I'm gonna know like the next thing like why not just call that the Down syndrome people's store? Like that doesn't make any sense. Like what are you trying to do? What are you trying to do? Merchandise Down syndrome? Which oddly enough people have been doing since the beginning of time. Like good God in three like I mean good God in 25 cents. Like come on. Pe- People have been advertising Down syndrome for years. Down syndrome day, d- Down syndrome mud pies, uh, Down syndrome special athletes, uh, everything they could put Down syndrome on, they got it on it. They even had Down syndrome hot dogs for Christmas sake, and like that's not even a thing. You know, Down syndrome hot dogs. It's not a thing. Like I'm tired. Like I'm not only tired about that. Like I'm not. Like I'm not only tired of that. I am sick of that. Physically sick of it. Physically sick of that. You know, leave us. Leave us the Fluke Reynolds brothers alone. We do not need that. It's good enough. Like it's bad enough that we are walking around. Like it's bad enough that we have a chip on our shoulder. About having. Like it's bad enough that we have a universal chip on our shoulder when it comes to Down syndrome. Right? We can lift easy. We gotta lift weights harder than someone else who doesn't have Down syndrome. We gotta fall in love harder than anyone else. We gotta dance harder than anyone else. We gotta eat, drink, and sleep harder than anyone else. Like I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm tired. I'm physically ill of all of this. You know, everything just gotta have Down syndrome on it. A Down syndrome bumper car, a Down syndrome bumper sticker for your car, uh, uh, syndrome, a Down syndrome pants store. Like what? and like me, and like may I remind you that Down Syndrome Day is, I don't know how to say this without getting negative about it, but I'm gonna try. Um, I've been Down, uh, Down Syndrome Day is like pretty foreign to people who don't actually have Down syndrome. Why, I'll never know, but it isn't. But it is. It's foreign to anyone who doesn't have Down syndrome or and doesn't really know. You know, has a poor education about people with Down syndrome because it's more cute than celebrated. Um, and I just do, and I just don't have time for it. It's not that the actual day isn't fine, Down syndrome day. It's what people go out of their way to do. Like it's like it's like if this was a slave trade. Like I could cry, like I could cry about this, but I don't want to because I realize that people with Down syndrome are really fine people. They're really fine people, but at the same time, they are the most challenged people. Like I just don't know how much of this I can take more. Like I just don't know how much I can take it. Like I just don't know how much I can take of this. Like I just don't know how a person could take that. You know, being turned being turned upside down and down to being turned upside down and side to side. You know, like I'm not telling you what not to do when it comes to Down syndrome. I'm telling you how we that enough is enough. Like I'm telling like like I am mute. I am mute. I admit I mean I admit that I'm not the angel of disabilities here. Okay, I'm not. But Down syndrome doesn't define me either, which probably which is probably why I don't like celebrating Down syndrome day because to celebrate to celebrate something like that means I would have to celebrate harder than anyone else in the room, and I just don't do, and I just don't know how or anyone else could do that. Like it shouldn't, like it should be a celebration. Down syndrome day, it should be a celebration, but it's not because it's so hard for people who have Down syndrome to come to terms with it. I'm not I'm not spitting in anyone's face about it. I'm just trying to, say to you, be careful. Like, be careful what you celebrate because you could celebrate Hitler Day, not knowing that you were. Like I'm just saying, or to put it more softly, something that you're not sure of. Like I just don't think it's like I'm not saying Down syndrome day isn't going to come. I'm not saying that. I'm just trying to tell you that if you're not too, you know, it's been it's vulnerability. It's it's vulnerability versus um, the big small system. And I just don't like that idea. You know, I do like I do like I just don't like the idea of us being smaller than the rest of society based on having Down syndrome. And like, I mean, please, like, stop. I'm not saying stop Down syndrome day. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, be be smart, be smug, be smart in some areas that people are warning you not to. Like, it's good enough. Like, I'm not saying you can't celebrate it. I'm just saying be careful how you celebrate it, because this, like, I mean, that's someone's, like, I mean, that's someone's vulnerability. That's someone's vulnerability. And if someone didn't like you, if someone didn't like the idea of celebrating Down Syndrome Day, it's not because they don't want to celebrate it. They're more vulnerable. They're more vulnerable to. It's not that they don't want to celebrate it. They don't know how to celebrate it, because all they can think of is their vulnerability being exposed. You know, and this, and that's why I don't celebrate it, because it is my vulnerability. And I'm, you know, vulnerability is something that do down up syndrome. Like, I mean, Down syndrome is something that I don't mind having, but it's not, but it's, but it's not my favorite thing. You know, and I admit, and I admit that anyone watching this who does have Down syndrome would be feeling the same way. You know, why is my vulnerability being celebrated? It's not because we don't want to celebrate it. We just don't know how. We do not we don't know how to adapt to that yet, and that's all I'm saying. I'm not ready. I'm not ready for that yet, and that's okay. And that's okay. Just because I'm not ready to celebrate it, doesn't mean somewhere in me I don't want to. Like, it's okay not to celebrate something if you're unsure of what it is. That's totally okay, because I'm with you. Because I'm with you all. Up and Down syndrome is just as complicated as anything else, and if the Pope, like, if people don't realize that, like, if the people have not caught on to the whole "I'm bigger, you're smaller" system, like, it is you. Like, it's not me that has done this. It's how people have. It's the box that people have put us in. We don't have the right to be there. You know, it's like, it's a box, it's a trap, and it's a discrimination against us. Instead of, and it's a discrimination against us because we don't know. Some of us have a poor education of it, but we still need to, at some point, give ourselves in and say, like, okay, it's not our bag, but it might be someone else's bag, you know, and that's totally alright. I do care. I don't. I care about the little man. I don't care. I care about the. I care so much about the little man or the little woman of Down syndrome that I don't care. I care so much about the little people that are not looked at through the eyes of man. You know, like I care so much about the little people. I can't. I don't care. I I care so much about the little people that I'm who have Down syndrome and might not even have I care so much about the little people who the more vulnerable people. I care about them so much that it almost hurts me, and it's not right, and it's wrong, and it's wrong to be walked all over and not understood, and I don't care, and I care. I don't. I totally care about people like that. I I care about the more vulnerable who might not give a shit if Down Syndrome Day is celebrated or not, or like in general. Just because we don't know how, just because you don't know how to celebrate Down Syndrome Day doesn't mean you're ignorant. It just means you don't know how to celebrate it because all you're looking at is the rougher, more challenging monkey on your back. Same with me. Same with me. Like for the longest time, I've been taught that having Down syndrome is a cold thing, but I never should have been taught that because like I have very little education in that field too. But at least I've learned to accept itself. But at least I've learned how to accept as much as I can without giving it away. Like and at the end of the and at the end of the night, at the end of the day, that's what matters. Up syndrome, dude. Down syndrome is a wonderful and wise thing. It's just the way people look at it that don't have Down syndrome and want to put us down. That's what that's what Down syndrome day kind of kind of in a way represents. The failure that doesn't know how to listen or look at people who have Down syndrome. You know, like and frankly, it's up to us not to get in the not so much to get in the way and treat that, but to accept that this is something that we have to live with and accept it in time. Not all at once, but in time. And I have to do that too. I have to accept it at some point, but for now I can't. It's a small it's a it's a big world up there and we're really not invited to it. Not really. But that doesn't but just a minute, that doesn't mean that we should not stand up and start talking about it. You know, it's not it's not my place to teach. It's not my or anyone else's place to teach what Down syndrome is. It's it's our job to teach people about us, not about Down syndrome. Because I'll tell you right now, brother. I'll tell you right now, brother. Dude, we're not defined by Down syndrome. what we what we are instruments of gods. You know, what we are instruments of gods, and and we should not let anyone take that away from us. You know, outside of God, we are our own trumpet. You know, but just because we're our own trumpet doesn't mean we gotta blow it every time someone doesn't agree with us. You know, so that's all I'm saying. You know, like just because we are our own trumpet, just because we are, just because we are our own trumpet, doesn't mean we get to blow it in people's faces. So just something to think about. You know, something to think about, something to sleep on, something to, you know, gradually in time learn to accept. And we, you know, I'm not telling you to accept it all at once in 5 minutes. I'm telling you that you know, with time and and standing up and talking about it, like we're not going to change the world to, like we're not going to change the world by having Down syndrome. We are, like we're not going to change the world by the syndrome. Like we are not in any chance, we are not in any stretch of the imagination going to change the world just because we have Down syndrome. But but we can change the world by showing how human we are. You know, a difference. There's a difference. You know, there's a difference between the syndrome and the person. And even though we're not going to change the world by having Down syndrome, we can change the world. We can change the world by showing how human we are. And if anybody's watching this, Down syndrome, or the other way around, who doesn't have Down syndrome, I don't care who you are watching this. If you learned something from this, then okay, great. But if you haven't and you just want to watch this just because you know you want to get away from the world, well then this is your channel. So whether you learn something or not, that's up to you in this video and in this message. And you don't have to learn anything from this. As long as you watched it, I will assume that you are at least a believer. If you get nothing out of this video, you know, uh, if you get nothing out of this video and you didn't learn anything, the fact that you watched it tells me that you're a brain member. So having said that and done that and got the more and got the leather jacket, so having said that, done that, and got the bowling trophy, um, I'll see you whenever I make the next thing. Bithynia.